going on, everyone? Welcome to Party on Broad. This Eagles might be Super Bowl champs, but the show must go on. We are flipping the script and talking Eagles offseason, doing an Eagles stay or go with our free agents. We're doing our top Eagles targets to watch at the upcoming NFL Scouting Combine. We're talking biggest turning point in the Eagles 2024 season. Kind of doing some reflection. Joining us, Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA. What's up, Ryan?
Oh, not much. Before we were known as Super Bowl champions, and certainly before we were known as two-time Super Bowl champions, I would say the offseason for me was just as much fun as it was the season. Because again, back then we weren't officially winning anything. So now that we are winning, it still holds a nice place for me. A lot of memories of diving in, but nothing beats being a champ. I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. Also joining us, of course, Rob Lange at Philly_Madness. What's up, Rob?
Yeah, we're definitely over it with me with the jersey and the hat, and still relishing in what was a tremendous parade day. And but no, what Ryan says is right, and I think at some point it will be an exciting offseason again. And I can't get over the high, man. I can't get over the high. And there's been so much back and forth. I never thought that I'd be higher and more excited than the first one. And when they won the first, but there's something about being the true best team in the NFL and to dominate the way that they dominated that Super Bowl that just makes this feel somehow better. Like there's somehow a better feeling associated with this one. And I think it's because we all knew there was a little luck in 2017, 2018. This team is built to last.
That's it.
Now, it doesn't mean they will. You still have to go out on the field and you have to prove it. But they're built to last. And that is such an exciting thing that, like, there's a possibility that people could be talking about the Eagles in the same light that they were just talking about the Chiefs in the years to come is really exciting.
Yeah, usually Eagles season is just its own beast. Unlike any other sport, because my favorite day of the year is the kickoff when the season starts. Then also my favorite day of the year is when the Eagles season is over. I'm excited because I'm exhausted. I'm straight exhausted of doing videos every day on the birds. But I has not hit whatsoever this year. I'm ready to go because, like Rob said, we're talking potential dynasty here. We're talking, maybe one or two drafts away from really solidifying this thing, especially defensively. And when we get to top Eagles targets to know at the scouting combine, I've got a few names I think everyone should know. Kind of the guys that are a little bit off the radar, but guys that I think are legit home run picks. And we'll get there when we get there. But let's jump right in, fellas. Let's talk stay or go for the Eagles free agents, all 19, leading off with Zach Bond. Go ahead, Ryan.
Do we have to talk about this?
Yeah. Do we need to talk? Can we have a third category of like
if you don't keep him, we'll kill you?
Yeah,
like,
right. Exactly.
Can that be a category?
Break your legs.
All my love affair with Howie will go away if you let Zach Bond out the door.
Unless
where would Zach Bond be in the category of like B-Dog going to Denver? Like, where is that emotional tie for you?
I don't know. I don't know if the emotional tie that was with Doc is there with Bond because it's 1 year. But from a player, from what he did, from an importance, it would be. This is going to sound crazy, but this is like the most important. Make sure you bring a guy back that I've seen in the last 20 years. Almost going back to when you let Dawkins walk out the door in 2008. Yeah. I think it's that crucial. Because he's a leader. The team loves him. Obviously, his play speaks for itself. I just don't think you can let him walk out the door. I don't think it matters what it costs. You cannot let him walk out the door.
Yeah, I mean, there's a legit belief that Howie will not go over $10 million to retain him. Positional value is a real thing for Howie. We've seen a lot of changes in Howie's philosophy over the last 12 months. But I'm with you, Rob, whatever it freaking takes. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, listen, I'm kind of right there with you. And I think that's the only way that this doesn't happen is if Bond kind of overvalues himself. Some are saying that he could get up to 15 million out on the open market.
Sold.
I don't know about that, but yeah, I think.
Is there just to play devil's advocate? Like Vic Fangio is not going anywhere. We just talked about it last week in similar respect to Jeff Stoutland. Vic Fangio is now kind of in that culture of in Vic Fangio. Could there be a scheme thing where we see players come in and out that fit the system?
I think it's a dangerous game if you play that too much, and you're going to have to play that in other positions. Not to mention, you don't know if Nakobe Dean's ready for the start of the season, so now you're down 2 linebackers. I'll be honest with you, if I was the Eagles, and I know that it doesn't go over well with players, but I would friggin' franchise him and then try and get a long-term deal done that way. I would not let him get a taste of what the market might say in him, because got teams like the Chargers, teams like the Ravens, you never know. Your teams like the Commanders, with the money they're going to have. I mean, you don't want this guy getting into the open market. I would almost do it in the sense of we're doing this so that we can then, negotiate with you and get a long-term deal done. I think it has to be done, and I hope that they get it done before the start of free agency.
Yeah. I think because of the Dean thing and Dibes, we talked about it on our mock draft show yesterday. The importance of linebacker right now, I think, is paramount. Even if you sign Bond, you're going to still need another guy, because you don't know when Dean's going to be available, and you don't know what Dean you're getting. So I think if you double down on that, and now you're looking for 2 linebackers, that's a scary proposition in free agency and in the draft, is to go out having to go after 2 players in one position of need.
Yeah. My take on this entire free agency, and you guys might call me crazy, but I would rather have Zach Bond here for the next 3-4 years than any other free agent on this list.
Agree,
I would
100%.
rather have Zach Bond.
100%. Agreed.
Yep. I mean, we could go on and on about how special his season was, but he does everything this Eagles defense needs.
The guy should have won Defensive Player of the Year. He should have won Defensive Player of the Year.
Should have, but I think about all the times in coverage. How many amazing plays did he have dropping back into coverage? 5 forced fumbles. The dude's a straight up playmaker.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Josh Sweat. I'm actually gonna say go. What about you, Rob?
Yeah, I'm gonna say go. Look, I know he had a great Super Bowl, and he deserves to get paid, but the Eagles shouldn't pay him. There's too much else going on with this team. Josh Sweat's going to get overpaid. Okay. And I say that because we forget that there were times where Josh Sweat really shined, and then there were times where Josh Sweat kind of disappeared. And I'm going to say this about a lot of guys on this list, but how good is Josh Sweat without Jalen Carter taking up all the people that he's taking up?
Amen.
That's the question you have to ask yourself. And is he worth paying 17, 18 mil, whatever you got to pay him? No. You have Nolan Smith. You're going to have to figure out that other edge. There's no doubt about it. But I'd rather spend that money elsewhere or on somebody else.
Yeah, I feel like Josh Sweat's going to get a really nice bump in salary. And I think the way this draft is set up for the Birds, it's deep in defensive linemen. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, listen, I think this honestly is one of those decisions that comes down to the money. And, for what Josh Sweat gave you the entire year, was he, again, I'm not sure exactly how much his contract is currently for this year. But, you have to look at it as, was he worth it? And I'm going to assume no. So why would I be interested in giving him a huge bump in salary? I wouldn't. And I have the idea that we are going to be going after edges early in the draft. I wouldn't be surprised if we, grabbed a veteran guy to kind of help with the rotation with Nolan, with this rookie or two. So yeah, I
Someone else.
unfortunately I think Josh Sweat is again a player that's just going to outprice himself for the Eagles. He's going to be, even if he's at 15 million, I think that's way too much.
Yeah, and I fully agree, and I think it's pretty much agreed upon. He's a better situational pass rusher than he is like three down starter.
Sure.
The year in 2023 when he played the most amount of snaps, highest percentage of snaps, was his worst year. There's a reason why last year was his second best season. I'm not giving him that money. Let's go to some comments here. Marshawn says, I'm choosing the next rookie in Jordan Davis over Milton Williams. We're getting there next. Hold on. Michael says, stay for Josh Sweat. Oren Burks absolutely stays. I agree, Marshawn. We'll get there in a second. Should we just go to Oren Burks? Let's go to Oren Burks. Let's let the comments lead us. I am absolutely 1,000% stay Oren Burks.
Absolutely, because you're going to be able to keep him pretty cheap. He's not going to cost you a ton of money. And, to do what he did, right, to come in, in the playoffs for a guy who had been playing so well, and then to not only be able to hold his own, but to be able to make plays, shoot gaps, all the stuff that, you had hoped that Nakobe Dean would be doing for you, you absolutely sign him. He's a great depth piece, and obviously you can plug and play him when you need him. I mean, there's no reason not to.
Like my memory of Oren Burks was, if you need him to play in a pinch, he sucks. He's horrible. If you give him prep and give him a week practice to get ready to know his role, he's phenomenal. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. He's definitely a great guy to have. Would it shock me if your starting linebackers were Zach Bond and Oren Burks to start the year? No, it wouldn't shock me at all. I would certainly hope that they go another route, but again, Howie, again, doesn't really put that much value on linebacker, and I think he, again, would be in the mindset of, hey, he's fine for a couple of weeks until Dean comes back, and we'll see what we have with Dean, kind of thing. So I mean, the fact of the matter is he made 1.125 mil. Give him get him a little bump. I'm good with that.
All right. Lonely Bee chimes in and says, I came across an article talking about the void years in Bonds and Sweat's contracts, saying the Eagles can save money by signing those two. That's really interesting. I'm not a cap guru. I can't tell you. But luckily we have the best in the business and Howie to handle that. Josh Sweat had a solid year, but that's a lot of dough. I agree. Let's go to Brandon Graham. I think he retires. How many players can say they can retire after winning a Super Bowl? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think you kind of heard it if you listen to his speech at the parade. Things like, I'm always going to be an Eagle no matter what. I think that he may have come back if they lost, but with the win, I think Brandon's going to retire. He's going to go off into the sunset, but he'll be like a Kelsey. He's going to be around here. He's not going anywhere. He's a lifer. And damn, man, what a ride he's had. What a ride he's had. And I think one of the coolest shots from the parade, something else, Ryan, I'll probably put on a canvas, is him at the podium with the 2 Super Bowl trophies on either side of him. Was cool. A really, really, really cool shot.
Yeah, agreed. That was a really good one. Yeah, listen, I think all indication is he's retiring.
Okay.
And I mean, I even if he wasn't, you wonder how much he truly has left. Obviously, you sign him to whatever, to have a final year. Well, I shouldn't say whatever. Obviously, I'm not going to give him like $10 million a year, but you hope. I think at this point, it's amicable that both sides are good with the retirement.
And I go back, like the first quarter of the season, he was your best pass rusher, man. And what I think when I think of Brandon Graham in 2024 and where he was so special and what he helped the Eagles so much was kicking on inside during certain situations. And I think the Eagles are really well equipped to kind of throw in guys into that role for next year, like Jalix Hunt. I think we're going to see a lot of that. And that was such a weapon. So thank you, Brandon Graham. I think we're all in agreement.
Yeah.
This is the end of Brandon Graham. Michael says, keep Milton. Let's go to Milton Williams, Rob.
Look, I love what this kid has done for us. I do. And he has surpassed every expectation that I ever had. I remember being like that dude in the draft room, angry at the pick because I wanted the other kid. I remember it all. But the kid, Milton Williams has done so much for this team. But you're going to have to pay Jalen Carter. You're going to have to pay at some point. You're going to have to make a decision on Jordan Davis. You have Moro Ojomo waiting in the wings, who was tremendous, if you ask me. They love Thomas Booker. He's still on the roster. You cannot give Milton Williams the money he's going to demand. It's very similar to Javon Hargrave from 2 years ago. You just can't do it. And look, I'm going to say it again. I said this earlier. Will Milton Williams be this productive without Jalen Carter next to him? I can't answer that. Therefore, that money's got to get allocated somewhere else.
Yeah.
I hate this idea. I hate losing a guy like this, but I just don't think you can keep him to keep things the way they need to be in this organization.
Yeah.
We honestly don't know. Like, Jalen Carter was double teamed 50+% in 2024. Williams only saw a double team rate of 36.3%. His role is going to change with that money. And normally, like, a 25-year-old up and coming defensive lineman, like, he has literally progressed analytically every single year since his rookie year. And I would be doubling down on guys like this. But I am right there with you, Rob. I think the system is in place. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, it's an unfortunate go.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody necessarily wants him to leave, but I think money will dictate everything. And
I really believe Jomo made a difference.
Yeah,
that softens the blow.
It sure does. And the simple fact of the matter is that you certainly wouldn't be shocked if Howie went out and drafted a rookie. But yeah, I think money wise, he is going to demand a big friggin' bag. And we need to spend that money elsewhere. So unfortunately, it's a sad go.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Marshawn just posted a tremendous question and something that I really did want to bring up after listening to Mic'd Up. You don't have to go to it yet. Wait till we finish this, maybe.
Okay.
I want to definitely talk about that.
Okay. Let's go to Mekhi Becton. Would you keep Mekhi Becton if he wants the bag?
My guess is there's going to be some differing opinions here. Here's what I'm doing if I'm the Eagles. I'm going to Mekhi Becton, and I'm saying, Mekhi, you loved it here. You loved becoming. Everybody else gave up on you. We signed you and made you a guard because Jeff Stoutland is that good of a coach. Not asking you to take a huge pay cut, but instead of $10 million a year, will you take 7, 8? Because I understand what people are saying, like, well, Tyler Steen can play in this, but I don't want to break up the continuity of that offensive line.
Yeah.
I really don't. Like, if we're going based off what I want, what I wish, it's for him to stay. This is the number one guy that I look at and go, this is really going to be all about depending on the money that he's offered elsewhere versus what the Eagles' top number is. The top number is not going to be much more than $6 or $7 million a year, probably, because they can't pay every offensive lineman $10 million a year. And right. Juergens is up for a contract and all this stuff. So it's interesting. I want to say stay, though, because I really would love to keep these 5 guys together.
Yeah.
Stay for Rob. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, it's a stay. And if he wants $10 million, I'm giving him $10 million.
Wow.
Yeah. I am. You stole my thunder there of the continuity of this line. You don't know when Lane's gonna call it quits. All indications that he always said that he was going to play out his contract. Well, that ends after next year. And listen, that seems like next year's problem. This year, I want to continue with having the largest offensive line in NFL history. I think we are going to see Becton get even better. Another full year under Stoutland, another full year in this new position of his. I think, again, there is a reason why he was drafted 11th overall by the Jets. And the simple fact is he's able to handle inside. He's clearly strong enough. And he just absolutely solidifies this line. I don't want to see it broken up. 10 million if it needs to be. You know how much they value the lines. They will absolutely spend 10 million if they need to. Yes, you hope the pay cut 7, 8, whatever. But if he's staunch on 10, all right, 10 it is. You got it, bud.
Yeah, and the offensive line group in this draft is very poor.
Weak. Yeah.
It's very poor, and maybe he kicks it outside the lane spot when he eventually hangs it up. But I'm 100% with you guys. I look back at Mekhi Becton, and I think his biggest struggles this year were really those like miscommunications on the interior. Like there were times when he didn't see the pass rush or things like that. I fully agree with Ryan. Like I think that can definitely clear up this offseason, get better. So when it comes to run blocking, man, he has some of the best tape of anybody on this O-line.
Yeah.
That was the bread and butter of 2024 for the Philadelphia Eagles, that O-line. And them just putting belt to ass. They just dominated in the second half all year. And for me is a hell yes. He stays.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Why would you want to ruin the offensive line?
Jesus, there's that many more names.
I know.
We'll go quickly through these because we got a lot of
just had Saquon, rush for 2,000 yards.
I can't wait. I can't wait to get to number 9. I'm really excited to have that discussion. Especially after I'm mic'd up. How much of a leader I had no idea Kenny Gainwell was, man. He was a vocal dude for this team, man.
I told you, Jalen Hurts named Kenny Gainwell as like the most underrated leaders on the roster.
Yeah, very impressive.
I like Becton, but you just can't. Only one needs to stay, and that's for sure. I agree that like I would take Bond and no one else.
If you're only going to give us one, it's Bond.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I think I saw that question, Rob. I'm going to skip it for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Unfortunately, I think Bond is the only one who stays. Big Sarge wants to keep Mekhi Becton.
I'm with you, Big Sarge.
Marshawn says Becton's staying for cheap. I feel it in my loins.
I don't want to hear about your loins again.
Feel it in my plums.
Becton is getting the bag as a guard. He did make a comment that he wants to stay as a guard going forward. That's important.
Think about it. Our top 2 free agents were freaking and I don't mean to be mean, but we're freaking nobodies at their last team. They were disregarded.
Isn't that crazy?
They were set aside. So why did they want to go anywhere else?
A lot of people talk about Saquon leaving the Giants and Hard Knocks and stuff, but how about the Saints? Like, where are Saints fans complaining about losing out on the best linebacker in football, man? Come on.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oh, God, Marshawn.
Laurie pays the players with matching signing bonuses. Jalen Carter is going to need a bag. Nolan Smith will need a bag. You're not wrong, Remo. You're not wrong.
But you still it's 10 million. It's nothing. How are you going to
figure it out? How
we can make that disappear real easy?
Is Nicholas Morrow on the list? Harris Campbell. Jonathan says the free agent Eagles must extend Reed Blankenship. He's signed for one more year. I believe
that could be a November. That could be the Howie November deal.
Marshawn down in my plums.
Jesus.
Saints gifting us for years. They're now they're poaching all of our coaches. Let's go to Isaiah Rodgers. One of the premier
on our list.
What's that?
Did we didn't skip anybody?
I don't think so. No, we're good.
Okay. All right.
Isaiah Rodgers, back up to Darius Slay, filled in extremely well, given how many times, pretty much every game, Darius Slay went down. Isaiah Rodgers, I thought was really good. What do you think, Rob?
As far as Isaiah Rodgers, Jaden Carter, Jesus Christ Almighty. Anyway, Isaiah Rodgers, I think he's a stay, and here's why. I think that there's been already a lot of talk. Slay's been the one to say it. He doesn't know if he's coming back here. He wants to play another year, but he doesn't know if it's going to be here, which means the Eagles may have an open competition out there because I think you want to keep Cooper in that slot position. So that means Keeley versus Isaiah and camp to see who gets the nod. So I think that Isaiah is going to stay and battle it out with Rodgers.
Ryan.
Yeah, I'm 100% keeping this dude. He, again, as Rob said, Slay might not be here, whether by, release, trade, or otherwise retirement. And yeah, Rodgers and Keeley are going to definitely be battling that out. And I'm with Marshawn. I want Ringo, but I do like Rodgers. He's good
dogs
in a pinch.
What are your thoughts on Keely Ringo? I want to hear your honest, real thoughts on Keely Ringo, because this is just my take, is that he doesn't fit Vic Fangio's defense. He wants to be a press corner. That's where his bread and butter is. I don't know if he has it to fit this defense. That's just my true gut feeling. Anybody else on that?
You may be right. Yeah. I just in Vic I trust, so I'm going to go with whatever Vic decides there. Vic for at least another year can do whatever he wants, and I'm not questioning him. So Vic,
I am also team Isaiah Rodgers. I also think he could get more money than the Eagles are willing to go.
Yeah.
Yep. I hope Keely Ringo takes a major step forward, and I just don't know. Lead us off, Ryan. Kenny Gainwell.
As famously said by Martin, you can get the stepping. Get on out of here. And we don't want you anymore. I don't care if you're Fletcher Cox's cousin or not. I don't care if you were mic'd up and accidentally led somebody to do something. Get on out. I don't want you no more.
That's a big stay for Ryan. What about you, Rob?
I think what Ryan's doing here is he's masking secretly that he wants Gainwell to go so that he joins his favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys, so that he can root for him when he's wearing the star on Sundays, not on the air with us, faking his Eagle love. I think that's really what's happening here.
Yeah.
But as for me, as much as I would love to see Ryan have to deal with the pain of Kenny Gainwell being on the roster for another year, you can fill this position in the draft. You can fill this position with an older vet. You have Will Shipley there. I think it's time to say goodbye to Kenneth Gainwell.
Yeah, right. Kenneth, come on.
He's definitely a go. But I do want to add, like, Boston Scott did sign a 1-year deal 3 times, and I would love.
That'd be so awesome
if we're talking like a cheap 1-year deal, I would love to see Ryan squirm every single week.
I would absolutely love it. I'm telling
you. Boston Scott, once he actually left, he signed a 1-year deal with the Rams. And did he do anything with the Rams?
No, but he scored touchdowns here.
He did.
Big Sarge saying Gainwell can go. My biggest problem with Ringo is
True.
Michael wants to keep Gainwell. I think Gainwell's been solid. Britton Covey, let's go there. Stay or go, real quick.
I got to be honest with you. I don't think there's another guy left that I'm going to say stay to. I'll be like I've said my couple of stays. I'm out on. No,
I got one.
Ricky Lovato can stay.
Exactly.
Snapper.
Lovato, 100%, and maybe Ben Summerin. I'd like to see a little more. I know he got hurt.
I'm telling you, they're going to sign an actual fullback this year.
Oh my God, Rob, I would cry.
I mean, they tried it with that one kid, and they would bring him in from time to time.
Yeah, Blazen game or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
It fucking works. It fucking works.
They're going. Yeah. I'm telling you, they're going to add somebody into that role that's not a linebacker turned fullback.
Anytime they went under center with BVS and Saquon, or played follow the leader with Jalen Hurts and Saquon, like they straight bulldozed defenses. I know Rob wants to.
I would never eat that damn sandwich for anything. That's the grossest thing in the history, Marshawn, of the world, is the goddamn McRib.
Oh my God.
I can't wait for a year from now when I'm like 80 pounds lighter and I'm telling Marshawn to go, Marshawn, you know what? I appreciate it, dude. I appreciate it. And here's why. You're going to be my motivation. I've been looking for 2 years for that motivation. You're it, Marshawn. You're going to get my ass back in gear. You're going to get my ass back in the gym. I appreciate you, boy. I appreciate you.
All right. Paris Campbell out. Avonte Maddox out. Respect for the past breakup.
Thanks, but you can go.
CJ Uzoma, you're out.
CJ, who's not going to work here anymore.
I mean,
stays.
Train all your kids for being a long snapper. Just train them all.
Seriously,
you can make bank in the NFL. That's all I'm going to say there. Ben Van Sumeren, I want to stay.
Yeah, I want to see a little more. Again, he can still play linebacker. Yeah, he's got the fullback capabilities. Again, he's not going to cost you anything.
Oh, nope. Wait a minute. I'm dropping the next 3, but keep Fred Johnson because he might have been the MVP of the Super Bowl parade. That guy was everywhere in the Super Bowl parade.
No.
Dude,
he'll get started. He's going to get a better role somewhere else.
He was everywhere at the Super Bowl parade. You might have thought he was the Super Bowl MVP.
Pat says, let Covey walk. I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
I think we all are in agreement. No more returning for Cooper DeJean.
No, he's going forward.
No more. Yeah. He's the best cornerback in football in the slot. Let him cook. Let him cook. I don't want to see any more hits.
I might disagree there, but that's a conversation for another time.
Oh my gosh, Rob! I would battle you with that one for sure.
Yeah,
Ben's a keeper. Driscoll out. I'm going to go through this quickly because we have like 4 other segments. There you go. I think that the truth is the Eagles need depth on the offensive line, but they've got some fun guys that they drafted last year, like Keegan, that I think are going to take bigger roles. That I'm really high on.
McCormick too.
Yeah, so I think they're fine. We got a lot of Fred Johnson love.
Huge. I'm telling you, I feel like he was like this guy must be a lock. Like he's almost like to what's his name of the Phillies locker room. I feel like
Stubbs.
Yeah, he must be the Stubbs of the locker room. He was everywhere.
Marshawn says, I vote for Chili's baby back to come back for good.
I want my baby back.
All right, there we go. There's our Eagles stare go. We have Eagles turning point coming up. We also have Eagles free agency targets. We're each that's going to be a regular segment going forward where we each pick a Eagles free agent or offseason move trade.
I can't wait to pick Devin White.
And then we're going to go into other things. So for the sake of time, we're already 34 minutes into this thing. Jonathan says, wants Cam Scattaboo. We'll get to that in a second. Let's roll on to the biggest turning point. It's a fun time to reflect on 2024. What was the Eagles' turning point in 2024, Ryan?
It was getting embarrassed by the Buccaneers. 100%. It was getting embarrassed by the Buccaneers, going into that long bye week as well, where there were a lot of conversations that were had within the team, within groups, within coaches that said, listen, this isn't it. We are much better than what we're showing, and we need to figure it the F out. And listen, I'm going to say it from that point because I know there's a specific one that I'm sure one of you will use as your point. But I'm going to say it was at that point. That was the first straw that led to another straw that led to, better things. But it was getting their ass kicked by Tampa, and they were able to have some realistic and real conversations within each other.
All right. Bucks loss for Ryan. What about you, Rob?
I've been back and forth because there was one that happened even prior to that, but I don't think that would be the biggest turning point. But I do think that it's something to mention just real quick. When they play New Orleans, the defense had to win that game. I think that, and Jalen Carter had maybe his best game as a pro. And I think that was a moment where we said, you know what, this defense could be pretty good, but I'm going to take it somewhere else. They had to go on the road to the LA Rams. And then after that game, come back and go on the road to the Baltimore Ravens. Two challenging games. At that point, LA was on a bit of a tear. We all know where the Ravens were. And this team not only won those two games, they dominated those two games in unbelievable fashion. And I think it was at that moment where I think we all sat back and said, there's something special with this. This team isn't just a decent Eagles team. I think it was at that moment where we all started looking, this team could be special. And in my opinion, and in my lifetime, it's the greatest Eagles team I've ever watched. And I think those two games, that little run where they had to go at LA, come back to the East Coast and go at Baltimore, and they dominated both opponents, was where I thought that the season really went from, hey, they're a solid playoff team to this team can absolutely win the Super Bowl.
That's a really good one. I'm going to just play a video. There's no doubt in my mind.
That's it. That is it. Unfortunately.
The Carolina Panthers have traded the 39th pick to the Los Angeles Rams. Oh, with the 39th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Brandon Fisk,
Yes!
Florida State D tackle.
All right, 50, 53, 161 for 40, 78, and 150. All right, calm down. Appreciate it. And I think that's what makes the draft so interesting and so much fun is that you don't know how.
The biggest turning point was drafting Cooper DeJean. That's my take, is the Eagles' pass defense went from worst to first for the very reason of Cooper DeJean and being that chess piece for Vic Fangio, making arguably the best play of the Eagles season with the pick six in the Super Bowl. For me, it's everything Cooper DeJean has brought, and you saw him, and I know he struggled through injury during the preseason, and ever since being put in after the bye week, man, it's Cooper, man. Like David said, I fully agree. Changed everything we know. I know the Eagles are built within the trenches, but I just what he can do in dime and nickel and play so many different roles and how effective he is dropping back versus stopping the run, being a sure tackler. He's everything. And I feel like I'm just blown away that like he's just the perfect fit for this Vic Fangio defense. I feel like we're going to be talking about Vic and Cooper DeJean for years to come. All right.
Good one.
All right. We have Jonathan saying the turning point was beating the Saints 15-12. That huge Saquon run there late. That was awesome. If we can somehow re-sign Bond and get Myles Garrett, we're going to get to that shortly. We're getting a lot of Myles Garretts.
Stop. Stop jumping in my fire here.
We'll get there. Howie is friends with Brown's GM. Oh my gosh. I'm shocked at how much Myles Garrett talk there is. Turning point was Nick shaving his head. I like that.
Also, that's a good one.
Do you think Slay is back? I think he'll have to restructure his deal because the money will not happen.
Yeah.
If he restructures his deal, he will be back. Any thought, guys?
Yeah, he'll have to. But I think he realizes and recognizes the importance of, trying to win another ring before he jets out of here. And, yeah, why not, get a little bit of money?
This was my favorite photo of the Super Bowl celebration of James Bradbury in the locker room with
Did I text this to you guys right after the game? I texted to somebody.
Yeah.
I think it was you two. I was like,
so funny, man. I don't care.
well,
We're all winners.
But you know what? I got to tell you, a lot of things have come out about him with Q. That, you know, and people had said Bradbury was a good guy. And it seems like as difficult as this might have been for him, he took it in stride and he mentored Q. And if you go to the parade, when Q was about to say some wild stuff,
he got right in the way.
One person who got right in the way and said, he's good, and got Q out of there. And that was James Bradbury, like looking out for him like he was his little brother, which I think that's really cool for a guy that obviously, man, that the fall was so cataclysmic.
Yeah.
To be that guy to Q, I think is awesome.
Yeah, too bad there was nobody like that for Nolan Smith during the parade.
Yeah.
Because that dude got effed up.
Oh, did I tell you guys that Jason Kelsey picked up my nephew?
No.
You know the video of him chugging a beer and then picking a kid up?
Yeah.
That kid's my nephew. He's my sister's husband's son, so I guess technically a step nephew, but yeah, it was outstanding. I was like, that kid's life is changed forever. Like he's always going to be the kid. Remember when Jason Kelsey picked me up at?
Yeah, he's gonna walk around school like shit don't stink.
Oh yeah, and
Big Sarge says, "I hope D Slay is back." I will say, I am totally on board with D Slay coming back for a year.
Yeah,
just because Vic Fangio's defense is a complicated one, and where communication is just so vital, and the way they just were in unison, the way they just reacted and swarmed to the ball, pass or run, that's not easy, man. That's if we're going to draft a replacement, bring D Slay back for a year.
Yeah, and we don't truly understand how vital Slay was for these young kids for learning this system and being that buffer, and that vet in the room. So.
All right,
let's get to my man.
Let's get to Eagles free agency or Eagles off-season targets. Rob, I'm going to throw this one to you, man, because you're kind of the.
He's been itching.
You've been waiting for this one. So what is your off-season target? Go ahead.
So let's think here, right? Let's think of where the Eagles are a little thin. We talked about offensive line depth. We talked about edge rusher, right? You got Nolan Smith. I mean, I guess Bryce Huff is on the team, but that's about it. Brandon Graham's going to retire. You're going to lose Josh Sweat. So what the hell are you going to do at this position? Well, let's see. We're picking at 32nd in this draft. We'll probably be picking at 32nd in the next draft. With all these stuff. So first round picks really don't mean shit right now. Okay. Just listen. So I would be willing to, I don't know, take those two picks, maybe take a second rounder and one of your 37 fifth rounders, and then say, hey, Jim Schwartz, Bryce Huff just needs a change of scenery, so take him too. And give us Myles Garrett, okay? Because I'm telling you right now, what makes a champion a dynasty is when they don't stand pat, when they don't sit still, when they say, we're going to do whatever it takes to make us better. Yeah, that pass rush was amazing in the Super Bowl. But how many games did we talk about the front four not getting enough of a rush? Just think. Just think, guys. Just think. Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, I don't care who the other defensive tackle is, and Myles Garrett on the same defensive line. On the same defensive line. Just think about it. Think about it. Oh, you're going to double Jalen Carter? Oh, okay. That's cool. That's fun. Oh, you want to double Myles Garrett? Okay. Nolan Smith's going to have 57 sacks. I mean, it would be the pinnacle of a defensive line. It would be the best defensive line this team's had. And since Reggie and Jerome and Clyde Simmons and those guys back in 91, I am telling you right now, I know where you guys stand because you love the draft more than your own children, and I get it. But we're talking Myles freaking Garrett. If you can get him, and it's only going to cost you these end of the first round big picks because, and maybe a couple others, because you're going to be so goddamn good the next few years. Oh my God. I'm running to the phone. I'm saying, hey, Andrew, remember when we were buddies? Remember when you worked here? Let's make this shit happen. I want freaking Myles Garrett right now.
All right. Before we go forward, we're getting a lot of comments on this. What is your like realistic scenario that would cost the Birds to bring Myles Garrett in?
I'd say 2 firsts, a second, and a 5th.
Ryan.
That's a lot, man.
Yeah. We have the best general manager in football on the literal fucking heater with every single pick in the first 3 rounds right now.
Yeah, I would say I don't think it's going to cost that much, considering it's a known thing that he wants out.
That's fine.
I'm saying like a first and probably a first.
It's got to be 2 ones. I think 2 ones are definitely going to have to be in the.
All right, so then 2 firsts and a third. Then
okay.
I don't think it's
fine. Done. I'll do that too. I mean, honestly, like I've set the bar high there because I'm not going to be the guy that says, "Oh, I want him for Bryce Huff in a 5th." Like, obviously, that shit's not going to happen. But if 2 firsts is the big sticking point, I'm doing it. I
don't know.
The thought process of Jalen Carter. I mean, he was double teamed on over 50% of snaps.
You can't do that if Myles Garrett's there.
That is a mind blower. That is a mind blower. And I agree. I'm right there with you, Rob. Like, the thought process is crazy. On the other end, like, this team desperately needs
I get it.
And I agree with this comment, like, about trading back. Like, this team needs team control players in different holes. And it is a great question. I think I'm going to put that on YouTube as a poll.
Well, and it's one of those things where I think whatever Howie did, right? Once again, we talked about Fangio is going to get a year where no one's going to question him. You can't question Howie right now. If Howie did this move, it would mean that he truly believes it's a difference maker, like when he traded a first and a third for A.J. Brown, right? We talk about this all the time. Draft picks, although he's on a heater, draft picks are unknowns. They're an unknown commodity.
I'm not trading any of these young pieces. I'm not trading Quignon. I'm not trading Coop.
No, totally agree. I'm not doing that. But if we're just talking draft picks, that would be the most exciting defensive line I've ever seen.
And by the way, this is an F no for basically like 99% of the NFL.
Yes.
Period. You know what I mean? Like, Myles Garrett is like one of 3 players. I would probably move to thought about doing this move. I love Myles Garrett. I agree. He's
can I pose a question?
Yeah.
So for whatever you said, would you do Max Crosby instead, or would you rather have Myles Garrett?
I don't know if I do Max Crosby for what I said, but that
2 years younger.
Garrett. I know he's 2 years younger.
Just had the best defensive line in football. Milton Williams was a 3rd-round pick. By the way, don't look up our 3rd-round draft selection of Milton Williams on YouTube. Just saying. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, you were not happy, if I remember correctly.
You were all not happy. None of us were happy.
I didn't know who he was. I was just like, I wanted the other guy.
Michael saying Huff has no value. You're basically Huff is going to be the James Bradbury of 2025.
Yeah, no, I would just throw. I would just throw Huff in to say, hey, look, change of scenery. The guy may be in a spot rotation for you guys out there in Cleveland could get you some sacks. Take him. Yep. We'll give you money for him.
Pat is saying that's a lot. If I'm giving 2 firsts, they cannot be consecutive years.
Wow. You're going to be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean it is. I mean, if you can get off the Huff contract, that's definitely an interesting concept. But the dead cap and stuff, if you look at his salary, like, it's really a terrible contract. He's going to be here, just sitting in a locker room like James Bradbury. Big Sarge says Sweat is gone. Got to remember that we're not far away from Jalen Carter being the highest paid defensive player in football. They were the best defensive line without Garrett or Crosby. David G said,
were they all year? Were they the best defensive line in football all year? No. we talked about it a lot throughout the season. I feel like a lot of times we came on here on Mondays and said, we've got to start getting more of a pass rush with that front four. We got to start getting more of a pass. I mean, there was a span of time there where Josh Sweat was non-existent, right? We talked about this. So
there he went 5 games without a sack.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, you out of Myles Garrett, that, like we said, are you able to double team Jalen Carter 55% of the time?
Yeah.
No.
It's a fun thought process, man. It's fun. It's fun.
I don't listen. I say all this not expecting it to happen, but if you're asking me what my wish list is, it begins and ends there.
Yeah. Pat says we're going to have to eat a lot of Huff salary. His dead cap is outrageous, man. It's just truly incredible how amazing this offseason was last year. And that includes Bryce Huff making like $17 million or something like that. And they don't even use him. He's a healthy scratch. It's crazy. All right. Any other comments on that before we roll on? We got a lot more stuff.
We're taking our good time.
This might be the longest back-to-back Party on Broads in years. All right. The Eagles signed 13 players to future contracts. Is there anybody on that list that piqued your interest? Go ahead, Rob.
Well, we're talking about losing Milton Williams and talking about trying to get cheap bodies to fill in there. Can Gabe Hall be a guy? Can Gabe Hall be a guy that comes in and he's not going to be necessarily the 4th defensive tackle, but can he be the 5th defensive tackle in the rotation? You know, does he get a spot over a Thomas Booker or something along those lines? He's an interesting one to watch, I think, because of, losing a big ticket item there in free agency. I think he's one that you want to watch. Can he do what Moro Ojomo did, and that's become that much better in year 2?
What about you, Ryan? By the way, this is a great question from Michael. We'll go out. We'll hit this after our picks here. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, that's certainly a good one. That's a guy I certainly had, but I'm going to stick with Davis Price.
Yeah.
With Gainwell most likely gone, he's certainly going to need to kind of step in, and with Shipley, maybe they trust the combo of those two guys, and try to save some money there, and because they're going to need to save some money if they're going to be bringing in Myles Garrett. So, yeah, would you keep Reddick? You mean bring back Reddick?
You redo the trade.
Oh, do it again. Would you keep Reddick? Oh, gotcha.
We'll get to that because I want to do mine, and then we'll get to that.
Yeah, go ahead. You do yours.
I'm really interested in this offensive tackle. Give me Jordan Mailata 2.0, Laken Vakahalahi. I probably just butchered that, but he's a former Australian rugby player. The Eagles are going home to Australia next year. 6'5", ridiculous wingspan, 83-inch wingspan. And I'm just curious to see what he looks like in minicamp and training camp. So that's the guy that how he keeps on turning. He's got Jordan Mailata to shape him up, and it's crazy. I don't know how his singing voice is. We'll maybe know in like the Eagles Christmas album 3.0. We'll see. But anyway, give me Laki Vakalahi for my pick on the futures. Nice. We have a lot of agreements in Gabe Hall. That's where
Gabe Hall was the guy I wanted.
That was mine as well. Who's that running back we resigned?
Davis Price.
Davis Price.
Yeah, Tyrion Davis Price, right? Pat says Vakahali. Plus his name sounds a lot like vodka. I like that. There we go. Upton Stout going back to the fact.
Stoutland going back to his factory to get.
Oh,
Mekahini.
All right, let's get to our. And now we totally whiffed on the Eagles free agency targets. Let's go there.
Yeah, you guys just totally skipped yours.
Yeah, sorry. This is all over the place, man.
Yeah, listen, I wasn't going to say anything, but
let's get to Eagles free agency targets. Rob said Myles Garrett. Ryan, where you at?
I am going to go with safety Julian Blackman. from Indianapolis. There's a couple of safeties that I really like, Javon Holland being one of them. But I'm going to assume he's going to want premier safety money, and we're not going to spend that. Where Julian, I think, is, certainly in that second or third tier, maybe. I think he's going to be in the kind of maybe the 7, 8, 9 range. And I would love to add him to what we got with Reed and with CJ Garner, kind of getting a three-headed monster there. Unfortunately, Sidney Brown kind of disappointed and doesn't look like the guy that we all thought he was going to be. So I am going to get another safety here for Vic to kind of play with and perhaps help with the transition of losing a few corners. Let's bolster our safety position, and then we could focus on corner maybe in the draft.
All right, Ryan's going safety. I'm going to go and let's talk about edge linebacker. As we have said multiple times, the culture now for the Philadelphia Eagles is in Vic Fangio we trust. Give me Baron Browning out of the Denver Broncos. He was traded to the Arizona Cardinals. He's a 6'3" linebacker that has really showed some strong upside. He was linked to the Birds during the trade deadline, and he's got some versatility a la Zach Bond that I think we could be really interested in. Major speed off the edge. He played for Vic Fangio back in Denver in 2022. At that season, 24 tackles, 5 sacks, 12 quarterback hits, 2 pass breakups. He had an interception. Let's deep dive into Baron Browning. As a rookie in 2021, he played mostly off the ball as a linebacker in 14 games. Didn't really do a lot, but then he moved closer to the line of scrimmage under Vic Fangio, had 5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss in 14 games. That also include 4.5 sacks. Then the injury bug really just went crazy. He had a knee injury in 2023. And then heading into 2024, the injuries kept coming. He was out 4 weeks with a foot injury. He missed another game with a neck injury. And then in that entire 2024 season, his production dipped, but he finished really well the 2024 season. And he had 2 sacks, 16 pressures in the final 5 games of last year. Analytic-wise, his numbers are really good. He ranked 12th in pass rush win rate at 16.4%, which was behind Will Anderson and ahead of Daniel Hunter. And I think as a depth piece, as a guy that looks at Vic Fangio's defense and goes, oh, shit, look at Zach Bond. Maybe I can come here and revitalize my career. Maybe in a similar way Mekhi Becton did with Jeff Stoutland. I think Baron Browning could be a fun name to know going forward as a guy that takes maybe a 1-year prove-it deal going forward. And do you guys know who Baron Browning is?
Yeah, Ohio State, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought he was a solid starter when he was with Denver, and like you said, kind of got hurt after getting traded to Arizona. I think he's a cheap, low cost, kind of high reward type, very much in the Zach Bond mold. So I'd 100% be down for that.
Yep, and I think he's a better fit. And I'm sorry, I know Josh Sweat had a phenomenal display in the Super Bowl, and I think he's a much better fit in this defense than Josh Sweat. Yeah. So keep an eye on Baron Browning. That is no, he's not a safety. All right, let's roll into our NFL scouting combine targets to watch. I've got a bunch of names here. We're gonna deep dive into this thing. Maybe not so deep dive. But Rob, do you have a name that we're only 10 days away from the NFL scouting combine, which is crazy to me. I love Eagles Super Bowl wins because the offseason just is here like that. Rob, who's your dude?
Yeah, I hate the fact that the dude I picked, I cannot pronounce his name, but I'm going to give it a go.
Let's do it.
We're talking about edge rushers. I would love Myles Garrett, but I don't see it happening. I'm going with Donovan
Ezeraku.
Ezeraku.
Got it.
Ezeraku from Boston College. I want to know, and obviously you guys are the draft gurus. When I'm watching, I'm trying to find out who these guys are and then kind of go from there. Here's a guy that I want to watch him at the combine, and then I want to see, is he a guy that could fit what the Eagles do or not? So that's a name that I'm going to be watching.
Ryan, Donovan Ezeraku is on my list. So, Rob, well done there. We didn't know each other's list. Donovan Ezeraku is an elite pass rusher. He's a guy that can step in day one, be a very good situational pass rusher. He's the only drawback on him is that he's not an elite athlete. And I think he's, again, on my list because how he tests is going to be really interesting. I think he's going to be there for the Birds at 32. And there's definitely going to be a conversation based on how well he performs. I think we all know how he loves RES scores. There's a long history of that tied to the Philadelphia Eagles. So Ezeraku is absolutely on my list. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah. Listen, there's a lot of guys that I'm certainly in love with. Ezeraku is a high riser right now. And I think if he, has the combine that I think we all think he's going to, who knows? He may fly by the Eagles, unfortunately. But I'm going to go kind of a little bit, later. Not necessarily around one guy, but Harold Fanning Jr., tight end. This is a guy that more and more I watch, the more and more I fall in love with this guy, the more and more I want a tight end on the Eagles. I mean, listen, we all love Dallas Goedert, but the availability is not his best ability. And I need a solid tight end, too, that can come in and absolutely ball out. This is a playmaker with a capital P. This dude catches everything around him, near him, behind him. It does not matter. This guy's catch radius is sick. He's just an absolute stud athlete, in my opinion. Absolutely love this guy. This guy lit up college football this past year. One of the best statistical tight end receiving wise. Certainly needs a little bit of polishing in the blocking area, but the man can come down with the football. And to give Jalen Hurts yet another weapon, I would absolutely love it.
I thought you were going to go with somebody who was like Kenneth Gainwell 2.0. That's who I thought you were going with.
No. Running back is low on my list of need or draft want, just because again, I'm not a big fan of the running back, room, so to speak.
Pat says, "What about Mason Taylor? He's a stud."
No, I love Mason Taylor. Believe me, he absolutely is a better blocker than Goddard. I think he can develop into a pass catcher. But and the fact that he's going to be a later round guy, whereas Fanning, you could see him being a day two guy. Listen, there's a lot of tight ends that I truly love. I'm not necessarily sold on Arroyo just yet.
No,
I gotta look a little bit more into him.
Yeah,
but yeah, he's. I mean, listen, we would all love Tyler Warren. That would be fantastic, but it's just not going to happen, guys. So we need to look at some other options.
Yep. I'm a big fan of Elijah Arroyo. We have a Calcaterra fan in this chat, which I didn't think existed. Rob, you're a Calcaterra guy?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Because I am. I'm not like a don't draft a tight end because you have Grant Calcaterra fan. I'm just saying I really liked what Grant Calcaterra did for this team in moments this year when Dallas wasn't there. I thought he made some nice catches. I thought that hustle play sticks out when he recovers the fumble. There are a lot of things that I thought Grant Calcaterra did that was very good for this team this year.
Oh, yeah. Dude is a hustler, but he's a tight end 3.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted. He's not a
100%.
tight end threat.
Well, no, that's what I mean. I'm not saying don't draft a tight end. I'm
They
just
were
saying
better.
I was
The
a fan
Eagles
of
were
his.
better on the field without Greg Cotella than on the field.
Yeah,
That's
Greg Calcaterra couldn't freaking block me.
I disagree. I think he plays fine.
I don't know, dude. I got a pretty.
I disagree with that wholeheartedly. Get Derek Harmon from Oregon. I love Derek Harmon. Big time Eagles target. His ability to go inside and out, great size. Him and Moro Jomo rotating, maybe kicking Jalen Carter out a little bit, like Chris Jones. Like I love that idea. Big Derek Harmon guy.
We just did one yesterday. So check that out. And I did draft Harmon. So please vote for me. Woo!
Crushing me, Ryan. You're crushing me.
I know. I'm shocked. I really am.
Crushing me. Guys, go vote. We did a 7-round Eagles mock draft yesterday. It's on the YouTube community channel or whatever that's called for best Eagles mock. So go vote.
I think it's called Post now.
Posts, Eagles, YouTube posts. Go check it out.
Yeah.
Get Luke Lachey out of Iowa. Big Luke Lachey. He's actually a great run blocker. My man, Jay Sid saying Jackson Hawes.
Jackson Hawes, another one.
I
can talk tight ends all day.
Great prospect. Big fan. Cam Skadaboo. I think he falls to the day 3 round. But I think if we're going to maintain that like Kellen Moore offense, there could be some interest there. Mitchell Evans, really good player. We need a fullback tight end hybrid. Unfortunately, Tyler Warren will not be available when the Eagles make their selections. I think we all have him going very high. All right, I'm going to give you 3 names. Rob, you already got one. Donovan Ezeraku, so I'm going to 3. David Walker out of Central Arkansas. The Eagles had a lot of success drafting out of Toledo this past season. But David Walker doesn't have a lot of size. He's an edge rusher, but he's got some versatility, just elite power and strength. Make sure you keep an eye out on David Walker. He's really fun, and I think he's definitely in the conversation for round 1. Major high riser if you don't know him yet. The other guy I think, Ryan, you're going to fall in love with is Josiah Stewart out of Michigan. He's a linebacker edge rusher.
Oh, yeah.
More so probably second round than first round, but he does a lot of the same things that maybe we could grow in with Zach Bond. Whereas I think, Trot Jr. and who's the other guy? Jesus. Who's the other guy they're growing? I'm drawing a blank. But anyway, Josiah Stewart is an elite athlete. He's a big-time athlete that played the same kind of role for Michigan that I think bodes well for what Zach Bond does. He can play on the line, but he's an elite athlete that can drop back in coverage, super twitchy, super explosive, always playing at 100%. And Michigan was just a hot mess last year. So Josiah Stewart's a big-time combine winner, I think, in the coming weeks. So keep an eye out on Josiah Stewart. Last but not least, the exact opposite. Colin Oliver out of Oklahoma State. He's Oregon State, sorry. He's not an elite athlete, but major production, crazy production. He 22.5 sacks, 5 forced fumbles the last 3 years at Oregon State. He's a guy that is one of those hybrid linebackers that can drop back in coverage and do a lot of things for a Vic Fangio defense. So keep an eye on Colin Oliver. Similar to Donovan Ezeraku, if he can test really well, run and the short area shuttles and all that kind of stuff, if he tests really well, these are all guys that I think are going to be in play for rounds 1 and 2 for the Philadelphia Eagles. Big Sanchez, what about Jahad Campbell? I think he's a first-round player. I actually have him in my top 20. I think he's that good.
Yeah, I like him too. And I think there was another one about your boy Landon Jackson from Arkansas. Listen, guys, you guys clearly need to watch some of our college football shows. And Dives literally has broken down and put, whether it's player profiles or positional, top 10s. So please make sure this channel, obviously you need to be subscribing, but please go through some of the videos and start checking it out because we do quite a bit of stuff for college football.
Yeah, Jahad Campbell, if it was me, he's definitely high on the list, but I think he's going earlier because I think
he's
hybrid linebacker. Right? Him and Jalen Walker are
that was my Sophie's choice of my round one, whether it was Jalon Walker or Campbell. I chose Walker.
Nick Emanwori is also in my top 20. I love safeties. I'm always I always value them higher than everyone else. But I have Nick Emanwori after Malachi Starks as my safety number 2 in this draft. But anyway, Rob, do you have anything to say about
that? I agree. Listen, I told you I am really going to try and be better when it comes to this draft stuff, but I'm not there yet because I'm still celebrating a Super Bowl. I'm coming though, baby. I'm coming. I'm on the tracks. I'm coming down. The problem is I want the Eagles to trade the picks, but that's besides the point.
Ryan and I could talk all day about this.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm not even there where I was last year. Again, because of the long run, I think my focus has been, and especially the fact that we had 3 home playoff games that I had to prep for and go to, and freeze my ass off that too.
So just so everyone knows, we have a lot of people watching right now. So I just want to say, all my positional rankings are out. They're sure to change after the combine. But I'm working on my big board. That's my personal big board that I think guys that I'm higher on than everyone else.
Is Jalen Reagor at the top of the list?
Oh, come on. Now, why do you gotta bring up crap like that?
Ouch. That hurts. All right. But I got Senior Bowl winners, offense, defense. Go check that out. Yes, I was high on Jalen Reagor, as Rob has said, 3 years in the making. But here we are.
Just because it's the one time where I was right about a draft guy.
We don't think it's boring.
Henderson out of OSU. Dive loves the big board.
Yeah, he does.
Let's wrap it up, guys. Ryan, on that. Ryan, final thoughts.
This is listen. This is going to be a fun off season. A lot of players to retain, and hopefully some new ones to add to the fold. I mean, Howie. Now Rob wants to trade all these picks, but Howie's been going quite the heater in the first 3 rounds of the last couple of drafts. So, I don't know how much I want to take weapons out of Howie's hands. So. You can check me out right here on X. Follow all of our shows here on Party on Broad. Also, you can check me out on the Eagles Pinball Network tomorrow night for Birds of the Round Table. And I assume we're probably going to do Armchair Scouts. Maybe not. Who knows? And then Wednesday, Football Smack Talk show, that show there that I do. And apparently I sent it to the group thing that apparently in some weird list, I don't know the validity of this list. I don't know. I've never really ever heard of it, but there's a lot of charts in podcasting worlds and what shows and this, that, and the other. Apparently my show, this one right here is on 11th out of all the Philadelphia Eagles shows to watch. So if you haven't, please do so. I don't.
Why the hell haven't you gotten our Party on Broad up there yet? Huh? Fans? Fans out there? Jesus.
Yeah. So
to be fair, this is the most consistent Eagles coverage we've done in a long time. We're always talking Sixers and stuff.
Right. Yeah. Who?
Are we always talking?
You're right. I don't know.
I was going to tell you have to change the Party on Broad thing.
I just blacked out for 2 seconds.
Throw some Phillies guys in there.
Yeah, put some Phillies guys instead of those chumps.
By the way, we are getting consistent comments about Phillies coverage. I'm just
we'll start talking about it. Yo, one of the D2A episodes this week, Rye. Let's go to a little Phillies action.
All right, let's do it. Listen,
I have a hot take.
A couple of them.
I have a hot take that no one's going to like. So.
All right, we'll do it. And I'll argue against you.
Yeah. Real quick, but yeah, before I go, I want to answer this question. Marshawn had posed the question, what is the better Super Bowl moment? Was it, do you want Philly, and yeah? Or what we all heard on Mic'd Up, which I just love because everyone says Nick Sirianni doesn't do anything during a game. Right. And he's sitting there and the Eagles are up 34 to or
28.
20, yeah, whatever it was. They're up 28 points, and he's on the headset with all the offensive minds, and he says, look, if we score, it's over. Just call it. And bam, they called a play. The play action bomb to Devontae. And I know that the Philly special, the play itself will always go down as one of the great plays. But when you talk about a moment, when you talk about a guy who has been criticized and down for the entire season and been told he does nothing, to get that moment on film where he basically calls game, he says, I'm ending it here. I'm done.
That's the biggest
moment is phenomenal.
That's the biggest nuts on the table moment.
Oh my God. I loved every minute of
Philadelphia sports history, honestly.
By the way, I also loved they caught him a couple times. He did sweats. At one point he does sweats thing after a sack. I love how he was counting down the sacks. That was obviously and you saw this if you watched the Unscripted on their website. They talked about how the Chiefs all wore 0 sack shirts. So they all you know, he was counting down the sacks as they got him. Tremendous. It was the most respectful nut drag we've ever seen. And with that,
he dragged his plums.
Yeah. And with that, you catch me at Philly_Madness. Catch me here. There will be some more episodes of D2A this week. One today, but unfortunately, I have to go run something to my daughter, so I'm bouncing as soon as we end here. And then, yeah, so that's that.
All right, guys, we are hanging it up here one last time. Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA. Rob Lanchi at his loins.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
That's where you can find me. Find me. I was just going to say something and I stopped, and I'm so glad I stopped.
We'll be live tomorrow at the Eagles Pinball Network, Birds of the Round Table, maybe armchairs. I don't know.
As long as there's some fixins.
We'll be there. Go check us out. He is Ryan. He is Rob. I am Dives. Thank you, everyone, for watching. See you next week, next Monday, 8 o'clock-ish, most likely. Stay awesome, everyone.